The notification came on a Thursday evening in early December. I was curled on my sofa, a cup of tea balanced on my knee, my work laptop still open on the coffee table. The screen lit up with a single line: "Sister added you to the group. Family Christmas 2024. I stared at it longer than I should have. My sister and I hadn't spoken directly in months, a few strained birthday texts, nothing more. Adding me to any family chat felt like an accident, and I almost exited right then. But before my thumb could reach the screen, the first message arrived. "Mom, okay, so everyone is confirmed for the 23rd? Dinner at 6 sharp. My stomach tightened. The 23rd. They had told me Christmas dinner was on the 25th this year. I had already swapped shifts at work, rearranged my whole calendar around the 25th. Maybe they changed the date last minute, I told myself. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. I kept reading, still not typing a word. "Brother, count us in. Same dessert as last year. Aunt, can't wait. Feels like forever since we all got together." Then my sister's name popped up again. Wait, is she still in here? I thought I only added the real family chat. A pause. The 3 little dots appeared and disappeared, then reappeared. I could picture them scrambling, probably messaging each other in a separate thread. I sat motionless, my tea forgotten, my heart thudding slowly against my ribs. "Mom, make sure she doesn't find out this year." I read that sentence 3 times. The words didn't rearrange themselves into something kinder. She wasn't talking about a distant cousin or a difficult neighbor. She was talking about me, her daughter. The one who lived 3 hours away and had always felt like a guest star in the family film, never a main character. "Brother, just give her the wrong date again, face with tears of joy, it worked last time." "Sister, I'll text her the 27th. She won't question it." "Mom, perfect. She'll just think she missed it. No drama." I felt my jaw clench. Last Christmas, I had driven 3 hours alone, a wrapped gift in the passenger seat, only to arrive at an empty house. My mother had called later, voice dripping with feigned concern. "Oh honey, we said the 23rd. Didn't you get the message? I'm so sorry, I must have mixed up the dates." I had blamed myself. I had apologized for being disorganized. Now I knew the truth. It wasn't a mistake. It was a running joke. I screenshot every message. Not just the cruel ones, all of them. The emojis, the laugh reactions, the casual way they assigned side dishes and reminisced about past holidays. Dozens of messages, each one a small door into a room I wasn't allowed to enter. I saved them into a folder labeled simply evidence. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stared at my reflection in the dark phone screen and felt something inside me shift. A little about me: I'm 32, a marketing director at a mid-sized firm. I left my hometown for college and never really went back, except for holidays and the occasional obligatory visit. I'm the one who sends birthday cards on time, who calls on Mother's Day, who tries to bridge the distance with small gestures that never quite land. Over the years, I told myself the emotional distance was just geography. Seeing those messages, I realized it was architecture. They had built a wall with me on the outside, and I had been paying the mortgage on it. That's the part that hollowed me out the most. For years ago, my parents were in financial trouble. The bank was about to foreclose on their home. I stepped in. I bought the house outright, my savings, my credit, my name on every document. The agreement was that they would pay me back gradually, whatever they could afford each month. I never pushed hard. I sent a few gentle reminders the first year, then stopped. Not a single payment ever arrived. I carried the mortgage, the property taxes, the emergency repairs when the boiler broke last winter. And while I was doing all of that, they were sitting in that same house, planning a Christmas dinner specifically designed to exclude me. That evening, I didn't act on impulse. I made myself eat dinner. I sat with the screenshots open on my laptop, scrolling through the casual cruelty, and I let myself feel the full weight of it, the grief, the humiliation, the years of quiet hoping that maybe this year they'd want me there. I cried for about 10 minutes, hot tears that came in a rush and then stopped. Then I washed my face and looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. I looked the same, but I felt a cold, clear resolve settling in my chest. I could absorb this, pretend it never happened, drive home on the 27th with a confused smile again. Or I could stop. I could stop paying for people who treated me like an afterthought. I called the realtor the next morning. She was the same woman who had helped me buy the house years ago. I explained that I wanted to list the property immediately, at market value, no contingencies. She asked a few careful questions, but I simply told her the situation had changed. By the end of the call, the paperwork was in motion. The listing would go live within 24 hours. That evening, I saw a new message still sitting in the family chat. My sister must have forgotten to remove me, or the app had glitched, because her final note was still visible. Okay, I removed her. Carry on. See you all on the 23rd. I opened the chat, read the entire thread one more time, and then typed slowly. No anger. No desperation. Just one line. Merry Christmas. Your realtor will contact you tomorrow. I hit send, muted the chat, and placed my phone face down on the table. The house they were sitting in, the house where that perfect Christmas dinner was planned, belonged to me. And I had just listed it for sale. The realtor would call them in the morning to schedule showings. They would have to leave. I slept restlessly, but beneath the anxiety was a strange thread of peace. The next morning, my phone would not stop ringing. Missed calls from my mother, my brother, my sister, their names stacked up like an accusation. Texts poured in. Call me right now. What have you done? This isn't funny. I watched the screen light up, and I didn't answer. Not yet. One message, however, was different. My aunt, the same one from the group chat, had sent a private text. I didn't know they were doing this to you. I'm so sorry. I should have said something. I stared at her words for a long time. It didn't fix anything, but it reminded me that not everyone in my bloodline had chosen cruelty. I replied simply, thank you. I'll be okay. The first showing was scheduled for Thursday. They still didn't know the full truth, how deep my silence ran, or that the realtor's call was only the first consequence. But they were about to learn. The bill was already in the mail, and I wasn't paying it anymore. I let the phone ring until the screen dimmed and the names blurred into one long accusation. My mother called 14 times before 9 in the morning. My brother left voice messages I didn't play. I could see the red notification badges stacking up. My sister's texts cycled from disbelief to fury to something that almost sounded like pleading. Please just talk to us. This is a misunderstanding. You're overreacting. There was no misunderstanding. I had the proof sitting in a folder on my phone, time-stamped and undeniable. I answered only one call that morning, the realtor. Her voice was professional, a little cautious. She confirmed the listing had gone live and that a viewing was already scheduled for Saturday afternoon. She asked if there were any access issues she should know about. I told her the current occupants would likely be uncooperative, but that legally, they had to allow entry with proper notice. She understood. We hung up, and I made myself a pot of coffee and waited. I knew they wouldn't stop at phone calls. They arrived just after noon. All three of them, my mother, my brother, my sister, appeared at my apartment door like a small, desperate delegation. My mother's face was blotchy, caught between indignation and something that looked almost like fear. My brother stood rigid behind her, arms crossed, his jaw tight. My sister stared at the floor, her usual confidence completely gone. I stepped aside and let them in without a word. Not because they deserved an audience, but because I needed them to hear their own justifications spoken aloud in my space. They started exactly as I expected. My mother insisted the group chat was a joke I had taken too seriously, the kind of teasing that happened in every close family. My brother claimed the wrong date comment was sarcasm, not a real strategy, just dark humor, nothing more. My sister, voice trembling, swore she had tried to include me in the past, as if a single forgotten invitation could erase the screenshots I had read with my own eyes. I let them talk until they ran out of breath. Then I sat down on the arm of my sofa, pulled up the folder on my phone, and read my mother's message aloud. Make sure she doesn't find out this year. The room went dead silent. I watched my mother's face crumple as the words she had typed in private were spoken back to her in public. My brother looked away. My sister started to cry. Then I told them the truth they had somehow allowed themselves to forget. For years ago, they were facing foreclosure. I bought the house, my savings drained, my name on every legal document. We agreed they would pay me back gradually, whatever they could afford each month. I sent statements the first year, gentle reminders that went unanswered. After a while, I stopped asking. Not a single payment ever arrived. For 4 years, I carried the mortgage, the property taxes, the repair bills. And while I was doing all of that, they were sitting in that house, planning a Christmas dinner designed to erase me from the family entirely. My mother's voice cracked when she finally spoke. "You can't just sell the house out from under us. We're your family." I replied, calmly, that I already had. The listing was live. The realtor would be contacting them to coordinate showings. They needed to prepare for a fast sale. I wasn't asking them to leave. I was informing them that the legal process had already begun. If they wanted to fight it, they were free to hire a lawyer, but the deed was in my name and the payments had come from my account. There was no legal ambiguity. The immediate panic that followed was messy and raw. My sister started calculating aloud. How long would it take to find a rental in the same school district? Where would her kids go? My brother paced the length of my small living room, muttering about betrayal, about how I was tearing the family apart over a few careless messages. My mother stared at me as if I had transformed into someone she no longer recognized. I didn't raise my voice. I simply told them the decision was final, and it was a direct consequence of the messages they had assumed I would never see. But the house was only the beginning. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder I had prepared the night before, printed bank statements, utility bills, the family phone plan I still paid for every month without acknowledgement. I laid it on the coffee table and explained that, effective immediately, every financial tie I had been silently carrying would be severed. The phone plan, the streaming subscriptions, the emergency credit card I had given my mother 2 years ago and never canceled. All of it. If they could afford to host a Christmas dinner, they could afford their own lives. The psychological weight landed in stages. My brother accused me of holding money over their heads my entire life, of being the family martyr who kept score. I asked him to name one single time before this moment, that I had ever mentioned the money or asked for anything in return. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The silence was louder than any denial. My sister whispered, through tears, that I was destroying everything, that the family would never recover from this. I told her the family had already destroyed me, slowly and quietly, over years of small exclusions and hidden jokes. I was simply removing the rubble. The social consequences unfolded over the following week. I sent a brief, factual message to the extended family group chat, the same one where they had coordinated my exclusion. I attached 3 screenshots. No commentary. No emotional appeal. Just their own words, visible now to aunts, uncles, cousins who had no idea what had been happening behind the scenes. The fallout was immediate and fractured. Some relatives called me horrified. Others defended my parents, said I was being cruel, that blood was thicker than anything. I didn't argue. I simply let the truth speak for itself. My aunt, the one who had messaged me privately earlier, sent another note. "You did the right thing. I'm sorry I stayed quiet." Her words didn't undo the damage, but they reminded me that not everyone had chosen cruelty. The most difficult confrontation happened quietly, about a week later, when my mother called me alone. No audience, no performance. Her voice was smaller than I had ever heard it. She admitted, with trembling honesty, that she had been jealous of my independence for years, threatened by the life I had built away from her orbit, by my refusal to stay small and dependent. Excluding me, she said, had become a habit she didn't know how to break, a way to keep control in a family that was slowly drifting apart. I listened without interrupting. When she finished, I told her I understood. Understanding, however, didn't mean I would keep absorbing the cost. I would not be her safety net and her scapegoat at the same time. Not anymore. The house sold 2 months later, slightly above asking price. The new owners sent me a photograph, a young family setting their own dinner table in the same living room that had once held so much secrecy. It felt like a circle closing. My parents moved into a small rental across town. My siblings and I are cordial now, but not close. They understand that access to my life is a privilege, not a given. No one has ever asked me for money again. Internally, the resolution arrived more quietly than I expected. I stopped trying to earn a seat at a table that was never set for me. I built my own, slowly, with people who see me clearly and